Well, greetings. Depending on where you are watching us from, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Clive Chaze is my name, and yes, right now we are in Doha, Qatar, where we are covering the FIFA U17 World Cup Qatar 2025, the first edition of 48 nations. And guess what? The national U17 team, the Cubs, is one of those nations playing at this competition, and Uganda has just made history, qualifying for the round of 32 for that competition. Now, I'm going to be talking to somebody who is European, who is African, who is Danish, who's Ugandan, but of course about this competition. Thomas Thor, that should be the name. I don't know if I've gotten it right.
Perfect. That's okay.
Well, Thomas here is a proprietor, director, founder of Cambio Academy. Cambio Academy is one of the football academies in Uganda, based in Masaka, and they do produce footballers. Some of the footballers that they have produced over the years are actually playing at this Under 17 World Cup with the national Under 17 Cubs. But Thomas, greetings and thank you for allowing to talk to us on CK Sports.
Of course, I'm happy to be here with you.
Well, the players, for starters, maybe we should start from there. El Cambio, how many and which players that you have playing with the Cubs at this World Cup?
So we have 68 players at El Cambio, ranging from 8 up to 18. And right now we have 4 who are in the squad of Uganda here.
Of course, the famous ones that people know is James Wogere, Isba Magalamlala, Aruna, who else?
Hamza Sangoba and Elvis Torach. Those two, plus, as you said, James Bogero and Isma Magala.
Well, before we probably talk Uganda and the Cubs in general, you've been here from the time the tournament started. What is your general assessment of Qatar as the organizers of the first edition of the 48 Nation Under 17 World Cup?
I think it has been beautiful. I think it's well structured. You can tell that this is run by FIFA. Everything is organized well. And this whole scenario and this location from Aspire here in Doha is amazing. And the pitches are very close to each other, so we can walk from one pitch to another. It must be nice as a journalist, as a spectator, for everyone. It's a really nice setting. And I know that this is going to be hosted from here the next 4 years. So there's a lot to look forward to.
Well, yes, by the way, when he mentions Aspire Zone, it is an academy, you want to say. It is a sports center that Qatar uses to groom talent. They have a lot of sports facilities here. But of course, as a football people, we've been exposed to only the football grounds. A total of 8 pitches are being used for this Under 17 World Cup. That means every day we are treated to 8 exciting games from the group stages that, of course, are going to be ending today. The tournament will be taking a break for 2 days before the round of 32 begins, the round of 16, the quarterfinals, the semis, and eventually the final that will be played at the Khalifa International Stadium. Your thoughts on this sports facility that Qatar, together with FIFA, have turned into 8 mini football pitches that can actually accommodate football fans, but also have all the other ingredients that you would need at a football pitch?
I think the facilities for a World Cup is amazing, and for any academy, you would love to have these facilities. But then again, facilities is one thing. What do you put in them? And that's what I believe. And Uganda has done well. We don't have such facilities in Uganda, yet we are still competing against the best. So yes, nice facilities, but really what you do in and out every day, every year is what matters.
We are going to discuss that at length because this should be the second time you are mentioning it. Your thoughts? This used to be a 24-team competition. FIFA decided that they will be expanding it to 48 countries. And because it's 48 countries, as a continent Africa, we are blessed from 4 slots available to 6 extra slots, now 10 slots available. But also, the competition is going to be played every single year, meaning that kids at this age or in this age bracket are exposed to international football annually. Your thoughts, first of all, on the general idea?
First of all, every decision has advantages and disadvantages, and having so many teams brings a possibility for you like Uganda, Indonesia, Haiti to come and participate. Uganda, I'm happy that we have shown that we have earned our place here. We are good enough to participate. But you also see some countries They belong here, but they cannot compete. So that sometimes lower the level of competition here and excitement because. But what you see, the fans are coming in many, like from Indonesia, Uganda, because these are rare moments. So I like having this many teams, but I also know that a lot of teams have not qualified. Big teams from Europe because slots are not that many. Um,
Not only in Europe, in Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, the only two nations that have won this competition are not here.
That's true. It counts for all the world, but no, I think it's a World Cup, so we should also invite other teams in. Um, and sometimes they have surprises. I would say that this is a surprise that Uganda went through. I don't think many has expected this, so it's world class.
You talk about having the kind of teams that are probably lower the level of a competition. And Arsene Wenger and FIFA's idea of having this competition expanded for the 8 nations and played annually is to give kids from such countries, Haiti, Fiji, and the others, an opportunity to play at the World Cup because they believe that is the way that football in those places of the world can eventually develop when you give kids an opportunity from a grassroots level to play at a level like this one.
Really, the question has to be asked: why are we hosting and having a World Cup? Is it for the best teams to compete, or is it to expose football to lots of countries? So that is the main agenda that needs to be asked. What are we having? If World Cup is not for the very best teams, fine. We are doing it like this, but then we are bringing it to the whole world. It's beautiful.
Then I'll flip the coin. You said every decision has advantages and disadvantages. So, in your own opinion, what are the advantages?
Disadvantages are clear that you have some. I saw 15-16-0 the other day. I know they got 2 red cards, and you see some teams cannot make it to this level. They're not ready to compete on this level. So you have. So football is also about excitement and tension, and you don't have that when you lead 5 or 6-0. It's getting boring for people, right? And the disadvantage is, of course, that some very good teams, you mentioned Ghana, Nigeria, I can mention European teams, Spain, Netherlands, they're not here.
Then what needs to be done to probably eventually have a competition at the level that you want to have it? Because my argument is, over time, the competition gap will narrow, and probably those lesser competitive teams will become more competitive, and maybe in the long run we'll have a kind of a competition that we want to have. But you disagree to an extent with that ideology.
No, I like both formats. I like the best teams to play at a World Cup. I like for more teams to come. We cannot get it all. Or should we allow 100 teams? No, you cannot do that, I think. So it's all about for FIFA to choose whether we are having a World Cup to expose the football to everywhere, or do we have a World Cup for only competition for the best teams to participate? Let us ask FIFA the question.
Well, I want us to get into the gist of the discussion. Of course, the national under 17 team, the Cubs. Very many people believe that we punched above our weight. We overachieved when we qualified for the World Cup. In your own assessment, how huge was this for football development back home in the country that we qualified to play at a stage like the World Cup?
I think it all started back in Sekafa, and we could tell that Uganda was on a different level. At Sekafa, we were definitely the best, and in the final, I remember we beat Tanzania. Then going forward to AFCON, the challenge was much bigger, much bigger, and we ended 3 in the group.
Yeah.
And there we could see there was another level. And now at the World Cup here, I would appreciate the whole team. It's not all about El Cambio. I'm from El Cambio. But really, I would say for the 11 starters and a few others that comes from the bench, everybody has stepped up. They are top performing. All of the kids have reached a level I believe they've never seen themselves play before. And when the whole collective squad is like this, you can achieve.
Well, of course, but moving forward, how then do we make this consistent? Because the World Cup is going to be played annually, but you also want the kind of consistency where this kind of performance or this kind of consistency now transitions into the under 20, then eventually into the senior men's national team. How do we keep this alive to probably also prove to people but that going to the World Cup in 2025 was not an accident?
One thing is youth level, and then we have to look at the men's level later on. For Ugandan football, I believe you need consistency. I think you said the word, and sustainability. So what I can do is to bring an academy to Uganda that consistently every year are producing. Now we have four. Maybe we could have had 6 or 7 here. It doesn't matter. Next year, let's see how many we have. But we have a structured way of talent development. And that comes from all the academies. It comes from us. It comes from FUPA. The better we can work together, the more we can produce. So this is the first year when we have our players here. And I believe because we have so many of them, we have 68 and soon 85. They're just coming through the years. So it's not a one-off. For El Cambio, it's not a one-off when we have 4 players here. Every year, depending on how many FUFA chooses, we are going to have 5 or 6 or 7 ready for this stage. Now, can we have more academies? Can we have more academies to contribute so that we all are pushing Uganda football? That's my dream and hope for Uganda.
Actually, that was my next question. That most of these players who are here, of course, are players like from academies, like you said, the schools, the junior leagues, and all that. What is your general assessment of grassroots football in Uganda before you can probably tackle the areas that we need to improve at that level?
I have huge respects for Ugandan grassroots football because it's not easy. You know, all those coaches, they might have different intentions why they're in football and youth football, but they are fighting every day in and out. They go on the pitch in 30 degrees with small children. They don't wear boots. They hardly have balls, but these coaches are coming day in and out. So how can we not respect them? Of all these players, there are coaches behind them, whether they are from Iganga, Kampala, Kasese, whatever they are from, Kitgum. There are a coach that has handled these kids from an early age. So I think I really want to say that Uganda, you have to appreciate all the youth coaches because they don't have much, yet they are producing now.
Well, of course, there isn't much like you've mentioned, and it is very visible for everyone to see. Then, what areas do you think that the federation, CAF, FIFA need to come in and support and probably see that all the coaches you've mentioned, some of the established academies we have there, are all pushing in the same kind of direction?
I said it the other day in another TV show that we need togetherness. And I don't want to be specific about things. I just want to say that we need togetherness within coaches, academies, and FUFA. Whenever we do that, when we do seminars, when we educate each other, when we get inspired by each other, when I go and talk to someone on the grassroots level, he can teach me something. And I also think I can teach people something. But right now, it's a little bit of a friction, and we need to get rid of that and respect each other and be happy and grow together. There are many ways how you can do that. I can say that Belgium, Denmark, a lot of European countries need to redo the whole development like 10, 15 years ago. And what you see now is coming through like nowhere before. England is a good example. Back in the days, they didn't perform well. Now they have redone it all. And if you look at the English squad now, they are full of teenagers, young people coming through. It's because they have started a philosophy, a strategy, and a methodology, and it's all done together. Clubs, the federation, everyone, we're working towards the same goal. Right now, I don't feel like that. We can do better in Uganda.
So you feel if probably there was a bit of togetherness and stuff like that, things like coming here wouldn't be making news, getting results of big teams wouldn't be making news. The expectations would be high for the team to go out there and probably perform.
That's how it is. Whenever you perform in any area, like you as a journalist, we expect you to come up with good interviews because you have done it before. So now it's the same for the Cups. Now we have our expectation for the next game and next year. And that is something that we need to put on our shoulders and say, we love this pressure.
Well, outside Uganda, which other countries would you say have impressed you? Personally, I would pick up Zambia. I think they have been very impressive. I would say they have been the most impressive African team. I saw them go toe-to-toe with Brazil yesterday. They nearly won the match. Unfortunately for them, it ended 1-1. And you could see that from the coaches to the players, they were disappointed that they actually drew with Brazil. These are three-time world champions. And Zambia came in there and they were fancying their chances to pick all 3 points against the three-time world champions. But you've probably watched more games than I have, I believe. What are some of those teams that have impressed you the most at this competition?
Of course, since I'm living in Africa and Uganda, I have an eye on the African teams. And I've seen Senegal do a good job. They have very exciting players. And then, of course, as you mentioned, Zambia. For me, I more look at the individual players than the whole squad itself. And that's the same I do for Uganda. For me, I'm not a a coach for Uganda, so I look at some different players and I see some good players from the Ugandan team as well. I think Uganda could be one of the ones that has really surprised together with Zambia. But as I said, there are many good players here, many good teams, and it's going to be exciting to see who is going to knock out each other.
Especially now that the tournament is into the knockout phase of the competition. You mentioned Zambia because just like Uganda and a couple of other teams, they are playing at this stage also for the first time. But then you look at them play and you get interested in knowing how they are managing their grassroots football. I mean, it is a COSAFA nation. It is not a nation from West Africa and all that countries that we know that they are established. They will keep on producing players. The last generation of players they have was way back, I think, in 2014 that produced the likes of Patson Daka. Then they didn't qualify for the World Cup, but you could see that they had a generation of players that was destined for greatness. And indeed, I think 4 or 5 of those players have eventually gone and become big stars, not only in Africa, but also in Europe. You believe that it should be the same path for the Cubs if probably the situation is managed very well, or the path of those players is managed very well?
Most people are asking me, so this is a big window for the players, right? Because there are agents all over. And so, yes, this is a big window, but you also need to make an impact and be different to all the other players. Remember, there are many teams, there are many players. So it's not like all the Cups players are going to be picked to Europe. That's not how it works. But of course, if you stand out and you perform well, you can make your name out there and you can move on for hopefully a good path. Either in Africa or even maybe better in Europe. I think there's a good future ahead of some of the boys. Some of the boys.
Some of the boys like James Wogere, Magala, I don't know. You could probably just give us a hint. I know that how are you managing things at El Cambio? Because at the end of it all, the end product is having these players land pro deals, not in Africa, but in Europe or some bigger places in the world.
So a lot of things are confidential, but what I can say is that we have so many people. I have a lot of people. I'm not alone in this. A lot of people working for El Cambio in Denmark, in America, and in Uganda. So I want to tell everyone that this is not me alone. There's so many people, and we are all having our different responsibilities. And of course, I also have my agents attached to our program. I have an affiliated club in Denmark, a very good well-known club in Denmark that we're working with. So our talents, the big ones, of course, we have the path ready for them. And one thing is the path into Europe. But are we happy with that? No. We want them to make impact in Europe, not so. So that they move.
Not just go, but
Because we have seen a lot of Ugandans go, but they come back, not so. Now we want to make that in Chuka Chuka. We want to make that change so that we see Ugandan players make an impact in European leagues, not just the mid leagues or low leagues. Now we want to reach the top. Let's see if we can have it in a few years.
And you believe probably competitions like this can also help expose these players into that direction?
A lot of things. We take them to Europe all the time. That is good exposure. Coming to a tournament like this, very good exposure. But I also believe that El Cambio, where they spend most of the time, is very, very good exposure in different ways.
Yeah, actually, as we wind up, that's something that I want us to probably end with because we've talked about it elsewhere. Because you believe that playing at this stage is very important for the player. But what is most important and crucial is what they are doing for the rest of the year when they are not playing at the World Cup. Just help me elaborate more on that.
Yeah. It's like every day in and out, what do you do? From morning when you wake up to the evening. Whenever you step on the pitch, one thing, do your team or your club or your academy have a clear plan with you and all the players? How is the leadership? How are we talking, inspiring, mentoring these young children? So yes, it's beautiful to get this exposure to this world stage, but it's really nothing because in 1 or 2 weeks they will be home in Uganda again. Not so.
Back to reality.
Back to reality. So if that reality is serious and well structured, it's okay to go back. But if it's not, this is just 2 weeks in heaven.
So you will get the exposure here. You will get scouted. You'll be invited for a trial. You'll go and do that trial. But the things that you didn't do in the other days when you weren't here the things you did or didn't do will determine whether you pass the trial or you don't pass the trial.
That's how it is. If you don't pay attention in school, you can get lucky to an examination, but really your chances are bigger if you have studied hard and listened to your teacher, right?
Well, the discussion can go on and on and on and on, and I want to believe this is not the last time we are talking to Thomas here, one of the directors of El Cambio Soccer Academy, based in Uganda. Masaka. I'm always, I'm used to saying Kampala, Uganda, but then I need to remember that El Cambio is not in Kampala. El Cambio is in Masaka.
But only thing is, all the players are coming from all over. We only have 2 out of 68 that are from Masaka.
Really?
All of the other players are coming from anywhere in Uganda.
Now I'm tempted to ask about your scouting. Maybe that would be a story for another day when we do visit El Cambio, because I remember the last time I did talk to you was during a Uganda Cranes training in Rosira. I wanted to visit the facility, and you told me that you'll let me know when was the right time to visit the facility. Back then, I didn't know what you meant by then, but after seeing the football pitch and all the things that were established, now I understand why you were holding visitors from visiting the facility. But of course, we'll make time and visit Masaka, visit El Cambio, and show you exactly what they are doing, the great work that they are doing out there. Thomas, probably your closing remarks before we end this interview.
So I travel back to Uganda tomorrow, but I wish the Cubs and Uganda all the best, and congratulations to all of Uganda, all the people that have pushed towards this. Well done, guys.
Well done to everyone. Hopefully, the Cubs can keep going and see how far they can be taking this fairy tale. Clive Chaze is my name in Doha, Qatar, the Aspire Zone, where we are covering the Under-17 World Cup, the first edition of 48 nations. Remember to subscribe, like, and comment our content. And yes, catch you again in the next video.